Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ok Zoomer. I'm Aaron Lichtig, Xometry guy and former Jeopardy champion, and I'm here today with Vivek Krishnamurthy. He is a digital manufacturing rep at HP, and Vivek and I met back in 2018 at FabTech in Atlanta. He was working in Atlanta at the time and stayed in touch over the years. So welcome, Vivek. It's great to have you.
Thanks for having me, Aaron. Really a pleasure to be here and chat with you. And it's been too long since we've seen each other in person. But it's good to connect face to face
I know, I
after all this time.
can't wait for FabTech to be back online, hopefully this year, next year. We'll see. Um, cool. So tell us a bit about your role at HP and your work there.
Sure. My work kind of spans a lot of things. I mean, when I started, I was kind of in a traditional sales role, but then we started seeing that service bureaus have been some of our biggest customers. So my experience working at 3D Systems selling parts kind of made me an ideal candidate to kind of help build a program to incentivize adoption there. So for the last couple of years, I was kind of helping build a program there, and everything kind of came to a head last year with COVID when we really took advantage of our digital manufacturing network to produce like PPE. And so I was working on that for the last like 3 years, and that was all fun, fine and dandy. And now I've been kind of pulled back to a more like traditional sales role, and I'm supporting a couple sales guys in the Pacific Northwest and Northern California, as well as Texas, Oklahoma region. So got my hands full.
How did you get your start in 3D printing?
That's a long and winded story. So I was in between jobs like back in like 2013, and was trying to really think about like what I wanted to do with my career and where I wanted my life to go. And at that point was the hype phase of 3D printing, like 3D Systems, Stratasys, all these like legacy names for doing really well in the stock market. So that got me thinking, what if there's positions there? So I reached out to a guy at 3D Systems, found a position in Atlanta. One thing led to another, and before I knew it, I had a job offer, and I had no idea about manufacturing, no idea. Like I barely had experience in sales. And so it was a learning experience for me. And I absorbed every bit of knowledge I could from everybody that was there about manufacturing, about sales, and how to conduct yourself as a salesperson. And it proved very valuable to me. So
Awesome. And you mentioned bringing your network to life during the COVID period. How did that work? How did you do that?
um, it's really weird because I was moved and relocated to New Mexico the week the pandemic broke out.
Oh, wow.
But so when I started hearing about PPE shortages and like mask shortages and shortages, like the proverbial light bulb just kind of clicked on for me. And I was just like, wait, we have all these like service bureaus across the country. What if they could help like produce some of these things? And so, like, I mean, already in Spain, our team was like working on like applications there because, as you know, Spain was one of the hardest hit countries at that time in the beginning. So that kind of got the light bulb clicked on for me here in the States. And I started like posting about it on LinkedIn. It got a lot of trends. And then within the company, like, I just ran to wherever the rapid response team was, and I just butt my face into all the conversations. And before I knew it, I was being like brought to the table, like with a lot of high level execs, like planning, different strategies on like implementing like swabs and stuff like that. So it was really cool to kind of be a facilitator. Like one of the things I'm really proud of is the face shield design from Avid. Like
Yeah.
um, I know Doug like on a personal level, and so we had been chatting just about COVID efforts, and he mentioned that they designed a face shield that they could pack like at the time like 150 of them. And so I was in another chat internally with our applications engineering team, and they were telling us, oh, we have a design that we can fit about 30 to 50 of these. So, I mean, right then and there, like I was just like, okay, I chimed in and I was just like, hey, we got a service bureau that can pack like 150 of these using our technology. I really think you guys should chat with these guys. So I was able to facilitate that connection, and ultimately we were able to pack like 350 of them. Brought the cost down from like $28 per face shield frame to like about seven.
Hmm.
So it's pretty,
Yeah,
yeah.
cool. So, what should we be most excited about at HP right now in the 3D printing space?
Really hard to say. I mean, obviously, our multi-jet fusion is really exciting. I'm always excited about it, and like the newer materials that we continually are developing. Some of us on the sales team are like they're not coming out fast enough, but that's sales. We're very impatient. Um, but also, the software solutions that we've been working on. Like we recently announced the Ultimate Build Manager, which is supposed to be like an agnostic, like factory of the future sort of like tool. I don't know all the details of it, haven't been completely debriefed on it, but I know next month there will be like more details coming out like officially. So, and that's public, like I can say that. But like, yeah, I mean, it's just really exciting to just work on like really high level stuff, like the different sectors we're going after, like orthotics and prosthetics. I mean, you got guys like Brent Wright who are taking our technology and really pushing like the needle, like in the O&P world. And then we got a number of people going after footwear, automotive, and different sorts of things. So yeah, I just love like having sold different technologies, like from a parts perspective. One of the things that really like excited me was, some you can print like threads on our parts and they actually hold up pretty well. And also just the part density as well as the chemical resistivity. So just some of the material properties kind of excite me. But I'm pretty agnostic and I acknowledge other technologies too. They have a rightful place in the industry too.
Yeah, things are always changing, but we launched at Xometry multi-jet fusion a couple of years ago, and our customers really have adopted that fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I see that you guys have been a very significant, played a significant role in helping a lot of our manufacturing partners grow. So it's a good thing.
Speaking of new things, I saw you recently on Clubhouse, and I know
Mm-hmm.
you've been very active there, especially in groups talking about 3D printing and manufacturing. What do you think of Clubhouse so far?
I think it's great. I mean, LinkedIn is great also, but I think Clubhouse takes it to a whole other level where you can actually talk to people, interact with people, and have a fluid discussion, kind of like we're having right now. I think also one of the greatest elements of it is purely audio. So you don't have to be all dressed up or anything like that. So you could theoretically be in your PJs and have like a pretty high level discussion. But it's really cool because I went to an archaeology chat and I was chatting with archaeologists and I brought up 3D printing there. And there was definitely something you could tie in there. So like you can go to all kinds of different topics and still tie in what you're more familiar with, but somehow kind of like bridge that gap between different schools of thought. I think I mean, especially during this time when it's hard for people to go out and, meet each other in person, it's a wonderful platform. I think the question though is post pandemic, will that be sustainable? I think it will, but will be
Yeah, me
interesting to
too.
see.
I think there is a role for it. It is very unique. And even when people are able to gather again, even when we can go to Fab Tech and have some of those conversations there, we will still want to talk to people from, we did one for Xometry a couple of weeks ago. There were people from Australia, there were people from the
Mhm.
UK, and, they might not be able to make it over here, even for the larger trade shows.
Absolutely. And the thing is, I formed connections that I never thought I would have like before. Like it's so easy to form connections on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
but like you just never have that personal sort of like there's people that I've met regularly on Clubhouse now that I'm like, man, I can't wait to meet these people in person. Like I've actually formed like some sort of like relationship with them, so to speak. So that's really cool, like a friendship too, So I really enjoy it. I thoroughly enjoy it.
How did the archaeologists want to use 3D printing?
Well, they were mentioning how they use LiDAR to scan the inside of a cave, like, and get to map out the whole cave and the shape of it. But then they also were talking about how they might even like scan an artifact or something like that, and print it in color, just so they don't have to like, destroy like the original, and they can kind of hold it and stuff like that, right? So, just from that perspective, it was just kind of enlightening just to hear like how they use it and things like that.
Cool. What advice would you have for someone who may not have a lot of experience in 3D printing, like you didn't have when you first got into the industry? What advice would you have for them as they look at potentially joining the industry and learning more about it?
Um, be hungry and like be curious and be persistent. I think for me, what really like resonated with me with 3D printing is I'm curious about everything and anything. And 3D printing, as you know, because you're in the field, like it touches on pretty much every vertical or every field you could possibly imagine. That's the beauty of it. Like every single like field in some way, shape, or form can be touched by 3D printing or affected by it. And this enables you to just you can no two customers are the same, no 2 days are the same. Like it's always exciting, you learn something new even from the customers that you're dealing with too. Even if you're printing parts for them, you learn about the project that they're working on and it gets you excited. If you have that kind of like general enthusiasm for science and technology, and like you put yourself out there and show how passionate you are about things, like the people in this industry are super friendly and helpful. If you just come in there with a, hat in hand and humble sort of attitude, they're more than willing to like impart knowledge to you and help you along the way in your journey.
That's great advice. Thanks, Vivek, and thanks for joining us on Ok Zoomer.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll be back in another few days with another episode. Take care. Stay healthy.